Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. We've got something absolutely phenomenal to dive into today. We are going to map out the human nervous system. Think of it as your body's ultimate high-speed communication and control network. It's the invisible wiring that's constantly carrying signals back and forth just so you can think, move, feel, and react to the world around you. Simply put, without it, well, you wouldn't be you. To really grasp just how powerful this system is, I want you to picture this. You're in the kitchen, maybe you're a bit distracted, and bam, you accidentally brush your hand against a hot stove. Before you even have a fraction of a second to consciously think, ouch, that burns, your hand has already yanked itself away. How exactly does your biology pull off that kind of instant dramatic reaction? That is the exact question driving our entire explainer today. So here is our roadmap. We'll start by meeting your control network, then we'll break down the central nervous system, look at the peripheral nervous system divisions, zoom way in on the micromessengers, the neurons, and finally wrap up with how signals, reflexes, and reactions actually happen. All right, part one, let's meet your control network. You can think of your nervous system in two major camps. First, there's the central nervous system, or the CNS. This is made up of your brain and your spinal cord, and it is the absolute boss, the ultimate control center of your body. Then you have the peripheral nervous system, or PNS. These are your connectors. The PNS consists of cranial nerves connecting straight to the brain and spinal nerves branching off the spinal cord. If the CNS is the headquarters, the PNS is that vast network of cables reaching out to every single corner of your body, keeping everything linked up. Moving right along to part two, the central nervous system explained. It's honestly wild how neatly the brain delegates its massive workload to different departments. First up is the cerebrum. This handles the heavy lifting, your complex thinking, your memory, speech, and those voluntary movements you consciously plan out. Right below that, you have the cerebellum, which is entirely focused on keeping you balanced and coordinated. And finally, the brainstem. This is literally the unsung hero of your body. It manages your critical life support systems in the background, making sure your heart keeps beating, controlling your breathing, and handling digestion. But here's the thing, the brain can't do any of this in isolation. It needs a massive transit route, and that is the spinal cord. Think of it as a biological fiber optic mainline. It is a two-way street, constantly carrying complex signals back and forth between the brain and the rest of your body. Without it, none of the brain's brilliant commands would ever make it to your limbs. Okay, part three, let's look at the peripheral nervous system divisions. What's really brilliant about the peripheral nervous system is how it categorizes tasks based on whether you have to actually think about them. The somatic nervous system handles the voluntary stuff. You consciously decide to walk across a room or pick up a pen. That's your somatic system at work. It also feeds sensory info like touch and pain back to you. Then you have the autonomic nervous system. This handles all the involuntary actions. It's running those vital background apps we mentioned earlier. Digestion, breathing, your heartbeat, totally automatically. You don't have to remind yourself to digest your lunch, right? The autonomic system's got it covered. Now, that autonomic system splits even further into two totally opposite modes. First, the sympathetic nervous system. This is your body's high-stress alarm. It triggers that famous fight-or-flight response, cranking up your heart rate and dilating your pupils when you're under stress. But you can't stay in full alarm mode forever. That's exactly where the parasympathetic nervous system kicks in. This is your rest and digest mode. Its whole job is to calm things down, slow your heart rate, help out with digestion, and conserve your precious energy. Basically, they are the gas pedal and the brake pedal for your body's energy state. Section 4, neurons, the micromessengers. So if we zoom way, way down, what exactly is a neuron? Well, it's a specialized nerve cell that acts as the fundamental building block of this entire system. We are talking about billions of these tiny cells working together, firing off messages across your body using a crazy sophisticated mix of electrical and chemical signals. Let's break down the anatomy of one of these micromessengers. A single neuron is perfectly structured to handle information. First, you have the dendrites. They act like little satellite dishes, receiving incoming signals. That signal then goes to the cell body, which processes whatever info just came in. Next, the signal shoots down the axon, which is basically your outbound cable. And finally, it hits the synapse. The synapse is just the tiny junction or gap between one neuron and the next, where those signals have to literally jump across to keep moving on their journey. And finally, Section 5, signals, reflexes, and reactions. All right, let's put all this hardware together and watch the system in action. Here is the 5-step pathway of a standard reaction. Step 1. Your sense organs detect a stimulus, like touching an object. Step 2. Sensory neurons fire, rocketing that signal up to your spinal cord and brain. Step 3. The brain processes that data and decides what to do. Step 4. Motor neurons are dispatched from the brain, carrying specific action commands back down the body. And step 5, your muscles get the memo and respond. Detect, send, process, command, respond. And all of that happens in the literal blink of an eye.
But hey, remember that hot stove from the very beginning of the explainer? That situation requires a response even faster than those standard 5 steps. Enter the reflex action. When you touch something dangerously hot, your body uses a biological cheat code. These actions are completely automatic and lightning fast because they are managed mainly by the spinal cord. Your nervous system literally does not have time to wait for the brain to process the danger. The signal hits the spinal cord and bounces straight back down to the muscle, yanking your hand away instantly. It's the ultimate built-in survival mechanism.
When you lay it all out like this, it's pretty obvious why this biological machinery is so absolutely crucial. Your nervous system is the foundation for everything you do. It controls your daily physical activities, it keeps you balanced, and it coordinates your movements. But way beyond the physical, it stores your memories, allows you to learn, and literally drives your emotions. Plus, as we just saw with those reflexes, it is constantly protecting you from harm with those split-second responses. Let's do a quick recap to lock all this in. You've got the brain acting as the ultimate control center. The spinal cord is your main message pathway. Nerves are the cables carrying those signals, and neurons are the basic communication cells doing the groundwork. Then you have the somatic system handling your conscious voluntary actions, while the autonomic system is seamlessly running your involuntary automatic functions right in the background. The sheer speed and efficiency of this entire network is just mind-blowing. So I want to leave you with this thought. The next time you manage to catch a falling glass right before it shatters, or you feel your pulse race before a big presentation, ask yourself, what other invisible background programs is your nervous system secretly running right at this very second just to keep you alive and kicking? It is always working, always protecting, and always communicating. Thanks for joining me on The Explainer today, and keep exploring the amazing science of you.